we as filmmakers have to accept the mission that being called independent, we must really be collaborators and educators and curators and champions. We can't dismiss that it's our obligation to grow and inform audiences. And that's really why I'm here, to ask for your commitment. I should make a pledge, you know, like Jacques did, but, you know, basically that pledge of collaboration and community and dialogue. You know, because there's some things that as long as we have things like a free and open internet, you know, individuals who want to connect and not just be sold to, you know, people who embrace the expansive definition of what it is to be human and not to be a demographic, you know, citizens who are committed to compassion and empathy and equal opportunity, those good, you know, American things, supposedly. Artists who are committed, you know, to telling emotional truth and involving the definition of cinema. As long as we have that, we have pretty ample reason to hope that our filmmaking culture and apparatus will continue to embrace all the innovative and passionate work that we'll see represented here tonight by the Filmmakers Alliance. You know, I don't think it's quite been 20 years yet. I think it's been about a decade and a half, maybe 3/4, as my son would say. But in the last decade and a half, independent film was mostly defined by the demystification of the development, production, and festival and sales process. And these coming hours, I think, are going to be much more about the demystification of distribution, marketing, and the discovery process. You know, too many filmmakers drank some of that other Kool-Aid, you know, and swallowed the belief that there has to be some concrete barrier between creation and discovery. You know, that popular, that polarization that we often refer to as art and commerce. I've heard, you know, many filmmakers acquiesce that they have to, you know, leave the marketing up to the experts and that they had too many stories to tell to get involved in the distribution of their work, the work that they helped produce. You know, there's no future left for innovative and diverse and challenging work if those isolating and defeatist attitudes continue to permeate the indie film community. Granted, you know, we all we have things we do better and enjoy more than most of the work that it takes to get your films seen. I totally get why some artists find it necessary to seclude themselves from certain influences and practices and solutions. But, you know, filmmaking has always been a collaborative art and an audience-based business. And no filmmaker can ever expect to do it on his or her own. At its fundamental, you know, cinema is a dialogue, you know, between the audience and the screen. And there are three simple truths that I think are the core principles that will allow for a vibrant film culture to continue to flourish. You know, collaboration, community, and dialogue. And frankly, that should be every filmmaker's mantra for the days ahead. When we embrace those dictates as the governing elements also of marketing, distribution, discovery, I think grand new possibilities open up for both creators and audiences. The next few years of truly independent filmmaking, truly free filmmaking, will be about erasing those lines between art and commerce, content and marketing, narrative and the cell, and between creation and discovery. You know, whether it's the idea that one's body of work is really just one long story, or that instead of reinventing the wheel each time, we seek to engage our audience and families and friends into an ongoing conversation. You know, it's a fundamental mind shift away from what most of the indie community has used to approach their work, its marketing, its consumption, and it will drive a lot of changes to come. You know, call it what you will, but the movement to engage audiences more fully in an earlier and actual dialogue will really ultimately mean, I think, stories that are more layered and contextual and robust than they were in the past. The possibilities are really just being unearthed right now. And sure, you know, the cynical among you out there, you know, call social network outreach marketing. but it really is a robust, user-driven dialogue and collaboration, and one that will fuel good work in defining its appropriate home, one that will build a community. It's a new frontier, and all of us in this room are obliged to blaze that trail. We're not going to do it on our own. It's not just a question of just doing it. You know, that myth that inspiration and hard work is all one needs to succeed, you know, has to be abandoned. It's time. We have to get over our collective fear of the future and really utilize the benefits of having a community like this in this room. We need to educate each other to, frankly, tend to one another's children, inoculate our villages against viruses of despair and isolation. You know, things that sound like a prescription for world peace are also a formula for independent film prosperity once you get down to the specifics. The details, you know, will determine a lot. But the principles, I think, come from things you've heard quite a bit before, from cultures and industries, and sound really familiar. You know, seed, corral, migrate, pollinate, love, embrace, share, curate, speak up, speak out. The people united will never be defeated. You know, that's it. That's how independent film will live, you know. Thank you. You know, I basically want to thank the Filmmakers Alliance, you know, all of my collaborators, some that are here in this room tonight, the indie film community in general, my partners at This Is That, particularly my wife Vanessa, for all the collaboration we do. But thank you, all of you, and really, let's work together and try to keep this thing going for a long, long time. This is the coolest looking thing ever.
Yes, there are many challenges ahead for us as filmmakers. We still face the usual practical ones of just trying to get a film made and the costs involved and all that. But there are a lot of larger issues facing us that were articulated beautifully by Ted. And, you know, if you're not inspired by some of the ideas that he puts forward to face these challenges, then you should check your pulse. Besides, we don't want anybody realizing they're dead halfway through the films. How rude that would be. And speaking of the films, Amanda promised a streamlined event this year, and that's exactly what you're going to get. The program's been shortened to keep the ADD afflicted in their seats for the whole program. So stick around if you can, especially since my film is last. And please do not stampede out of here to get to the food and the booze as soon as the credits roll, because we're going to introduce the filmmakers, and we would love for you to stay and show the love to them and get eyeballs on them and see who's responsible for your anger and frustration. Also, during the party, for those of you who can't get enough films, like George apparently, 250 films a year, there's more film screening during the party in the video theater. You just go out to the lobby and to the right. It's a small theater near the entrance. We'll be showing other stuff there if you want to check out those films. Some of the filmmakers are here, and they would love for you to do that. Probably all of the filmmakers are here. So in the meantime, please enjoy these films, and thank you all again so much for being here. We'll see you after the films are over.